A long time ago, possibly once upon a time, there was a farmyard. A farmyard surrounded by a big wall. A wall to keep things in and a wall to keep things out. Outside this wall was the unknown kingdom, and rumour has it that the king sat upon his throne ruling all the farmyards in the land. Back inside the walls of the farmyard, the sounds of tweeting, clucking, quacking, honking and gobbling could be heard from the beaks of turkeys, the beaks of geese, the beaks of ducks, the beaks of hens, and last, and quite possibly least, the teeniest beaks of little chicks. This place was a place that never fell silent. If a statement was gobbled, it was re-gobbled. If something was honked, it was re-honked. A quack was re-quacked, a cluck was re-clucked, and a tweet was re-tweeted until not one fowl could say who had said what. Rumour and gossip spread like butter on hot toast, of fireflies dancing in the twilight, although this scene was a lot less pretty, and was a playground of whispers and gossip. But I digress. It is not here, but over the wall where we will begin our story in the wild woods. In these wild woods directly outside the big walls of the farmyard, it had been said that hungry predators circled the barriers, licking their lips at the thought of the winged dinners that they could hear gobble-gobbling, honk-honking, quack-quacking, cluck-clucking and tweet-tweeting twitterings from within the walls. Now you all know those folk who greet you with a smile, but they have other plans for their teeth going on all the while. Meet Foxy Loxy. Foxy Loxy would often lament that he was not Mr. Popular, and that his foxy name was often taken in vain. And if he ever had any spare time on his paws, he would create a campaign to make foxes great again. Recently, Foxy Loxy had noticed he had become somewhat thinner. He had grown bored and tired of insects and berries and wanted something more substantial for his dinner. He could only imagine the birds over the wall and the taste of those juicy winged buffets in a pie, on a pizza, or in a delicate soufflé. Having circled the walls of the farmyard and hearing the feathery twittering din, he wondered how on earth he was going to get in. Because the wall was too high. It was even higher than the incredibly tall oak tree he was standing underneath. In a humph, he kicked the trunk with his paw, and the branches on the tree shook. And suddenly, a large acorn began to fall from the tree through the air. This gave Foxy Loxy an idea. He would throw the acorn over and see what unfurled, because he knew that the twittering beaks in the farmyard would think that the sky was falling in and believe it was the end of the world. So, with this plan in mind, he chuckled with glee. But will it work? We'll just have to wait and see. Over the wall we'll scale to within, where we left our feathery friends making an awful twittering din. But the gobbles, honks, quacks and clucks had settled, as the turkeys, geese, ducks and hens were taking their afternoon snooze. But one little bird was bright and alert. He was willing and wishing that his little wings would work. Now you all know those folk who believe everything they are told, every string they are strung and every lie they are sold. Meet Chicken Licken. Little Chicken Licken was minding his own business, hoping that one day he could fly, when out of nowhere an acorn flew through the air and landed right on his fluffy yellow head. At first, he didn't know what to do. But then he came to the only logical conclusion. "The sky is falling in," he obviously thought. "I must go and tell the king." So off he went, in no particular direction, the quickest that his tiny twiggy orange feet could carry him. When who did he bump into? Henny Penny. "Henny Penny," said Chicken Licken, "the sky is falling in, and I'm on my way to tell the king." "How do you know that the sky is falling in?" asked Henny Penny. "I saw it with me own eyes. I heard it with me own ears, and part of it fell on my head," tweeted Chicken Licken. Well, obviously this worried Henny Penny, so she cooed, "Oh, I better come with you then." So off they went to tell the king that the sky was falling in. Henny Penny and Chicken Licken, in no particular direction. When who did they bump into? Ducky Lucky. "Ducky Lucky," said Chicken Licken, "the sky is falling in, and we are on our way to tell the king." Well, obviously this worried Ducky Lucky, so he quacked, "I better come with you then." So off they went to tell the king that the sky was falling in. Ducky Lucky, Henny Penny, and Chicken Licken, in no particular direction. When who did they bump into? Goosey Lucy. "Goosey Lucy," said Chicken Licken, "the sky is falling in, and we are on our way to tell the king." Obviously, this worried Goosey Lucy, so she honked, "I'd better come with you then." So off they went to tell the king that the sky was falling in. Goosey Lucy, Ducky Lucky, Henny Penny and Chicken Licken, in no particular direction. When who did they bump into? Turkey Lurkey. "Turkey Lurkey," said Chicken Licken, "the sky is falling in, and we are on our way to tell the king." Obviously, this worried Turkey Lurkey, so he gobbled, well, I'd better come with you then." So off they went to tell the king that the sky was falling in. Turkey Lurkey, Goosey Lucy, Ducky Lucky, Henny Penny and Chicken Licken, in no particular direction. When what did they bump into? The wall of the farmyard. There was much clucking and quacking, honking and gobbling as the winged friends clucked and quacked, honked and gobbled to work out how they would get over the wall, until it was decided upon. As Chicken Licken was the only one who could not fly, they would each stand upon each other's backs, so that he could climb up them and over the wall. Then, using their own wings, Henny Penny, Ducky Lucky, Goosey Lucy and Turkey Lurkey would fly over the wall. Once this mission had been accomplished, off they went, in no particular direction, to tell the king that the sky was falling in. And who did they bump into? Foxy Loxy. Now they had heard about Foxy Loxy, but they had never actually seen him. His gingery coat shined and his sharp teeth glistened in the rays of sunshine peering through the trees in the wild woods of the unwalled kingdom. "Hello," said Foxy Loxy. "Foxy Loxy," said Chicken Licken, "the sky is falling in and we are on our way to tell the king." "Well, I had better come with you then. And it just so happens that I know a shortcut to the king, so you had all better follow me. How about we pass by my den so you can all come round for dinner?" So off they went to tell the king that the sky was falling in. Foxy Loxy, Turkey Lurkey, Goosey Loosey, Ducky Lucky, Henny Penny and Chicken Licken, in a tremendously particular direction. As they made their way into Foxy Loxy's den, the table was all set up for dinner. It was almost like he had been expecting them. And this is where the story reaches the final bend. And now it is up to you how our story will end. Does Foxy Loxy get his delicious winged tea, or do Chicken Licken and his feathery friends all fly free? You can decide if it's going to be Foxy Loxy or Chicken Licken who will end up with all the glory, as now it's over to you to finish this story.